Hello, you guys.
All right, we're live. Hey guys, how you doing? Do Carpenter and the always beautiful Mrs. Do Carpenter. I'm wearing my son's yellow Caterpillar hat. It matches my tow motor forklift. But I'm actually still kind of recovering. I got a pretty good concussion. Me and my boys were in a car accident and we got rear-ended and we got hit pretty hard. So the guy was doing about 40 miles an hour, didn't even put on the brakes, and I mean it totally totaled his car. I think it pretty much totaled my Yukon too. So but I can't even think, babe.
He's been having a rough time of not getting out to the shop and doing much, but the doctor did say that he wanted him to take it easy for the next 5 days. And I can see why, because he's just having a hard time. The concussion has really messed with him.
I mean, the night of the accident, I didn't even really sleep hardly at all. And I went to the chiropractor in the morning, and I got real nauseous and dizzy while he was adjusting my neck and whatnot. And my youngest son, my 4-year-old, was just not himself. He was very lethargic, and he was very nauseous and threw up actually. And so we all kind of took a really good jolt, and we've just been recovering. We have a lot going on though. I'm gonna hit it hard this next week. The video I put out wasn't necessarily everything that I wanted to get as far as content in it, but luckily we had enough that it ended up being an awesome video. So I did develop a new open cell mix. It's one I've been working on ever since I kind of accidentally made a brick like that when I was doing the raised flower bed blocks. I made a brick, but I didn't know what it was or how it was like that, and it was kind of crumbly. It wasn't a good mix, so I wanted to make a good hard mix that was still open cell. And you know, as fate would have it, I was trying to make a mix that would be good for like pizza ovens, and this one just didn't set up like I thought it should and whatnot. And I told Melanie, I said, it's a complete fail. And then after I covered it, and after I let it set up a few days, I took them apart and was looking at it, and I go, wait a second. What did I do in this mix? Because this thing has a really consistent open cellular consistency to it, you know, and water would just run through it. They were still kind of weak and brittle. And I was thinking, what can I do to fix this? And I think I nailed it, guys, and so I'm really happy with it. When I did Julie's first heat riser and I treated it the inside and soaked it overnight with water glass, I actually took a sample brick from the pour and soaked it in water glass overnight, and it would only soak in about a ½ inch, and I was just like, well, that'll have to be good enough, and it worked great. But I wanted one that would totally saturate in for a heat riser, because you put that water glass in there, you get it totally saturated, let it dry, and then when you fire it, all that water glass or that sodium silicate turns to glass and just gets hard, and it acts as a binder. And I'm really pleased with what I came up with. So let's look at some questions now, babe.
DFW Michael says good morning. Jeff Krupke says morning, guys. So hello and good morning to both of you guys. David Bennett says hello to my movie stars from Jordanville, New York. Wow. Well, hello back, David. Hope everything's going good there.
Is that upstate in Jordanville?
Crypto says morning. Jeff Krupke says the last video was confusing at the end. Like a few STT. I don't know what that means. STT.
I don't know either. Well, hopefully we'll get some comments on it, and whatever confusion there is, we can clear up in subsequent videos. Because really, as I was going through and I was looking, you notice I put up some pricing and stuff of what some of these things that we're building for like $10 and $12 a piece cost. They're up in the hundreds. Just, you know, I put what I call a window insert, but it could be installed anywhere in any wall, an aircrete insert with a insulated hole going through it, up and out. And you can make one of those. I think I made Julie's for $16, and these through the wall systems for these chimneys are literally $400 for just a through the wall. So, you know, with that and with the number of stovepipe that someone might need, I mean, that thing would save you easily $2,000 or $3,000.
David Bennett says thumbs up, so thanks, David. Yeah, you guys give us some thumbs up. Jeff Krupke says steps missing. So was a mistype. So he says in the end there's a couple steps missing. Oh, yeah, mixing up the aircrete and stirring it and whatnot. We've been getting a lot of comments from people. They're like, okay, we've seen you pour aircrete, and mix aircrete, and make foam and put it in a bucket. And I have so many videos out there actually mixing the mixes up and doing it. I just skipped over it, and the video was kind of long anyway. So William Craig says good morning and thumbs up. Hey William, how's it going? Aircrete Harry says good morning guys. I saw a photo of the car that hit you. Are you okay?
Yeah, I think my trailer hitch on the Yukon broke the engine off its mount and shoved it clear back into the firewall. I mean, that car is totaled. That was crazy.
And for the most part,
hold on,
they are okay. Darwin does have like whiplash and a concussion. The two boys, we took them to the doctor, and the doctor said that they both have concussions. We're supposed to take it easy for the next 5 days after the accident and keep an eye on all of them and make sure they're okay. Darwin and our youngest have shown signs of nausea and the youngest vomiting. But slowly, I think everyone's getting better and doing better and better.
Yeah, that's
the car that hit them.
The front end of the car that hit us. It just folded the hood of it right in half, and I think they actually went under my Yukon. It was gridlock traffic. We were stopped about a half a block back from the stoplight, and I think I had even put it in park, and that guy just slammed right into the back of us and shoved me a full car length ahead into the vehicle in front of me, and it was a bad deal. I think that car actually went under our Yukon a little bit before we lunged forward.
Yep.
So.
I think so too. So the guy said he had just gotten a text from his brother and just glanced down for a second. So you guys, please no texting and driving. Just don't do it.
Yeah, he said it was a message from his brother. His brother was getting married and he had a lot on his mind. So yeah, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Now that whole family has a lot on their mind.
Lori says, we'll keep you all in our prayers for a complete and rapid recovery. God bless you, Mr. and Mrs. Thank you, Mrs. Honeydew Carpenter. So thank you, Lori. That's awesome of you. Guy in University says, hi guys, tried to comment on Etsy but failed. Yeah, a lot of people have actually failed because we didn't realize that, I guess you had to have a purchase there to be able to make a review.
And so what happened was I got a lot of comments on the video saying that exact same thing. I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. And so I went through and wrote them all down. So we're not going to do the drawing this morning. I wanted to because I just had the list off of actual Etsy that actually had stars on it. But after I went through all the comments, I wrote down a whole nother page of people that wanted to be included in it. Some of them were previous buyers, and because their purchase was last year and past like 6 months old, they couldn't go back and comment on it. And I just didn't think that was right. And so I'm just not all there, guys. I actually left the paper
At home.
with a list.
So we can't do the drawing right now.
And I was kicking myself for
So-
that. I actually wanted to type them out and print it so all the papers in the bucket were the same size anyways.
So we'll get that done as soon as we possibly can, okay? You guys see the cut on his forehead?
You know, oddly enough, the night after, or the second night, I woke up and I had blood all over my face and my head was split open. And guys, I thought I had a dream that I was in my shop and hit my head on one of my sheet metal cabinets, but my shop is 7 miles away, so I know that didn't happen. I actually don't know what happened. I slept walk, or I got up and I hit my head again. And so
Hard enough to bleed.
and then this morning I was a little bit nauseous, and so I started Googling and doing some stuff. And I guess those brain injuries, concussions, when you get hit, it forces your brain to the back of your head and just kind of squashes it. And then when you lunge forward, it releases it really fast. And I don't know, it's just not something that I'm used to, so.
Mitch Anthony says good morning. Well, good morning back, Mitch. Beaver Creek Farmlight says, may God give you and the kids a speedy recovery. I am so sorry it was as bad as it was, but glad it was not worse.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said that better myself at all, because we're glad that it wasn't worse, but it was still bad enough that it's concerning us. DFW Michael says, Harry, check your email. CYR Donald says, hi from Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
Montreal, right on.
Wow. Well, hello from Idaho. George says, good morning from
Belize.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, good morning. Eric Harry says he's going to check his email. Paul Isaac says, very good early morning video. Thank you, Paul.
Hey, Paul, I appreciate the call. And I know I told you I was going to go to work yesterday, and you offered to come out and help. Paul is a local gentleman here. I actually got up and was going to go out, and Melanie's like, no, you're not going out there. You're going to cut your finger off or something. And I wasn't all with it. And I was glad that I stayed. I actually was able to go down on my computer yesterday morning and do some drawing, but I started getting, from staring at the screen and working my brain, a pretty bad headache. So I went and took a nap. I felt a lot better after that. But I appreciate the offer to come and help. Paul also said he had a Tahoe that he wasn't using much, and if we needed a vehicle, well, we'll see how that works out. We're gonna have to get a rental vehicle because our Yukon is too damaged, so we'll see if the insurance company will pay for it.
David Bennett says, yes, it is Central Upstate New York.
Oh,
That's
I thought
cool.
it was cool.
Roger says, you guys are great. Thank you, Roger. That's awesome. Jeff says, so glad you guys are safe from the car accident.
Yeah.
Right? Oh.
You just never know what life will bring. We had a real kind of shocker of some information. The king of random died in a paragliding accident last week, and
Yeah.
he's only 38 years old. He had a family. I mean, he's one of the most popular YouTube channels, and he was just a couple 100 miles from us up in Hurricane,
And
Utah.
Dart really liked watching them.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was one of the very first people that inspired me and got me looking at YouTube videos and whatnot. And it's, I guess you just never know, so you have to count your blessings.
Christopher says, good day to you both. Thank you.
His name was Grant, I think. Yeah.
King of YouTube?
Yeah, Grant Thompson.
King of Random, I mean.
King of Random.
Yeah. David Bennett says, northernmost Catskill Mountains, up above the Mohawk
River Valley.
Oh my gosh, David, I bet it is just beautiful and amazing up there. Wow. Tin Bender says, good morning from Omak, Washington.
Awesome.
Well, good morning. Air Creek. Harry says, I also made that mix by accident you're going to be using.
Right? Anybody who, that was a comment from Air Creek Harry, guys. Anybody who does as much experimenting as Air Creek Harry and I do, you're gonna accidentally come across some things. And if you can figure out a use for it and a reason why it would be useful, then wabam, then you have something for it. And I just, I think it's gonna be a great stovepipe and heat riser mix because it allows it to be treated after the fact with a liquid. And I think I've really got something there because you have a block that's pretty hard, and after you treat it, it'll even get harder. And so
David Bennett says it's in the snow belt. Awesome. Roger says thumbs up, thank you. And David Bennett says car accident. Yes, Darwin and the boys were in a car accident. They got hit from behind, so rear-ended about 40 miles an hour. The guy didn't even hit his brakes at all. It was kind of scary. That's the car that hit them.
There's another one. I don't know, did it get fuzzy?
So, all three boys have concussions. So we're just trying to keep an eye on them and hope that they do good.
Mrs. Honeydew drove out here. She hasn't let me drive for the past 2 days, so, well, just since it happened, so that's sweet of her.
Guyan University says, oh my God, wow, glad to hear you're okay. Thank you. Julie Henderson says, good morning, glad you're all okay. Right, thank you. Ouch. I am so tough. The only thing that hurts me is pain. Thank God you're all okay. Right? Okay, Aircrete Harry says, let me know if you want to make Aircrete bumpers for cars. I mean,
right. Yeah, we could develop a mix that would absorb the energy and take it all in.
Right, that'd be awesome, you guys. Kenny Bean says, hey from East Washington, I hope all is well and doing great here. Awesome. Thank you, Kenny.
When things slow down after Honeydew University at the end of this month, Harry, I would like to just put everybody in the rig and mosey on up to Colorado and see your property. It looks beautiful up there. So we'll maybe do a video or collaborate on a project in the next little bit.
Hey, Shay. Shay says that I was in the middle car once too. Car hit me in a small sports car. I was pushed into an SUV in front of me, which was pushed into the car in front of them 3 times.
Wow.
Oh, wow, Shay. I bet that was not fun at all. So you know what Darwin's going through. Wow. Merv says, morning from down under, 2 a.m. in the morning tomorrow, LOL. Wow. You're kind of up early. Wow.
Or up late, depending on how you look at it.
I guess so, right? Brian Moore says, just recently found you guys. I changed total direction from the way I was going just because of your videos. Oh, Brian, that's so cool to hear.
I hope you changed in a positive direction.
Right. Homesteading the Pioneer Way. Hi from MS.
Oh, I love homesteading channels.
Right.
That's, Julie with Dirt Patch Heaven is a homesteading channel, and she mentored us and helped us get started. And that's where I started building stoves and different things for off-grid, and I'm real excited to do some stuff with solar and other forms of energy and wind turbines, and using aircrete in collaboration with those things to make them more efficient. I had one comment on that video we put out this morning, and they were concerned about the stove and that it isn't manufactured, you know, and it's a homemade deal, and insurance and stuff like that. Well, rest assured, guys, stovepipe is stovepipe, and you can run it out of your house. So regardless of the stove you use, this double wall aircrete insulated stovepipe will by twofold increase the efficiency of that stove, because you won't have to run all that heat out. You can damper it down and keep the heat in your home, and it will still pull hard and continue to burn completely through your fuel source in there. And so I think it's going to be a really cool video, and that it'll just be one of those steady as she goes and continue to get a lot of views and a lot of interest, because it will help with any stove, not just a rocket mass heater, but any stove. It'll at least twofold increase the efficiency of it. And it's not unknown technology. There was one clip of, if you get just double wall insulated, they call it double wall stovepipe, and has an airspace in it. That stuff is about $100, $90 to $100 a section. The stuff that actually has an insulation in the airspace, ceramic stuff, is over $200 for a 24-inch section. So, you know, those people in Alaska or whatnot that are trying to get their... And ceramic insulation is just like a dam. All it does is just keep the heat from dissipating out. It doesn't actually take on the heat and become hot itself and act as an insulator. Therefore, it'll continue to flue and pull even after the fuel source in the stove becomes diminished. So it's, when people catch on to it, it's going to be a really cool thing. It's not going to matter what stove you have. It'll increase the efficiency of it.
All right, says hail quick, thank you. Hello from Turkey Country. Wow, hello. Beaver Creek Farm Life says he put our email, our shop for buying t-shirts and coffee mugs on there, Teespring. He put our Etsy shop link on there and our website link. So you guys go and check those out.
Sorry guys, I needed a sip of coffee in my Do Carpenter coffee
Yeah, check
mug.
that out. Isn't that pretty cool? You guys go get your own. Julie Henderson says, protect your brain. It's priceless, Einstein. Right. David Bennett says, I hope you guys are okay. Geez, I got rear-ended at a red light back in 1992. I felt okay for a long time, but would up losing 4 discs in my neck. Hopefully it won't happen to you. Oh, right, David? Earl Liversby says, good morning from Maynooth, Ontario, Canada. I probably said that wrong and butchered it. Sorry about that. Keep up the good work. You guys get it. Thank you, Earl. That's really nice of you to say. Gail says, good morning. Well, good morning, Gail. Alan Ingle says, today from MN, I pray for you and your kids to mend quickly and completely. Alan, thank you so much for saying that and praying. Thornton says, glad you're all safe. Thank you. Murr says, definitely best to take it a bit of time to recover. Wishing you a full and fast recovery. Thank you. Beaver Creek Farm Life says, please hit the thumbs up. Yeah, you guys, hit the thumbs up for us.
We'll all miss Grant.
Thanks for the mention.
Thanks for the mention. Yeah, I love that guy, and his actual editing skills and his platform on how he looked at things, and then took something that was a question that might be in the back of someone's mind, but then brought it to life in a video. He was just it was weird. You just couldn't stop watching. And he's an inspiration to a lot of us.
David Bennett says, yes, it is. And Shay says, glad you're all okay. Thank you, Shay. That means a lot. I don't know that name, but I got 2 super great ideas for air crate. That's cool. And he also says, oh, wow, scary about the accident, right? It was super scary. Gordon says, prayers for your family. Thank you. I can't read the next one. Shay says, hi.
Hey, Shay.
Julie Henderson says, make a vehicle bumper with shock absorbers. Right, that might be on the to-do list, you guys. Hyperbaric oxygen is good for recovering from brain trauma, concussion.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
That's cool.
I just don't have a hyperbaric chamber handy. So.
Right. Julie Henderson says, I know, you can make one. High five.
Right after that comment, someone goes, you can make one. Oh, I probably could.
God bless. Thank you. Aircrete Harry says, I would love to have you all over to my property. I'm planning some big epic aircrete build and testing. I know you're going to love. Oh.
Right. I already, I watched a little bit of the shed you're putting up and your ideas for how you're going to do it, and you're going to totally encase the studs and bring it an inch out. So there's, I get it. That was a good system, and I like your wall system that you put in. Yeah, that's going to be cool. That's going to be a cool shed, a good variation.
Dwayne Clark says, what's your opinion on Aircrete Harry giving up on Aircrete after 4 years? Love the stove.
He hasn't given up.
Don't think he has given up.
Have you given up, Harry?
Did we really miss something, Aircrete Harry? I'm confused. We got a hi, so hi back. Steve from Omak says to everybody, thumbs up. Yeah, you guys, give us some thumbs up. Matthew Dillard says, thank you for all the information you put out over the years. Your channel is a real inspiration to the DIY community. Watch out for whiplash. Get well soon, right? Thank you. The homesteading, the Pioneer Way says, make Aircrete helmet / cap. Mark Wilson says, good morning, beautiful, and Darwin. Yes, again,
Aww.
LOL. Aw, thank you, Mark. Dwayne says, will there be new mixes on Etsy soon? Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to do the open sale mix because it has so many applications that it can be used for. You know,
He's grabbing some Aircrete samples, you guys. He'll be right back.
so this is basically, I was cutting some little notches out of a panel mix sample that I had so that I could use it as spacers when I was pouring Aircrete into the stovepipe. And this is my panel mix, and it's a real, you can tell it's a real tight closed cell mix. It's super light and whatnot. And then this was my accident, and you can say it way too aerated. And then this is kind of a, my boys took a hammer to that brick that I was testing the other day, but this is kind of a sample of that mix. And I mean, it's pretty hard. Here, hold these, babe. Thanks. I mean, that brick, I can break it, but when you break it, look inside.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. David Bennett says, oh yeah, this morning's video was cool, and when one of your sons discovered that the plywood disc is a great toy, he is so cute. Thank you so much. We have lots of fun out here with them in the shop, and they like to join us. And so thank you.
They spend a lot of time with their dad, and
Oh yeah. And there has been a time or two that they've run off with things that look very interesting that they can make into toys.
Right.
So thank you, David. Brian says, very positive directions change. I am partially paralyzed, right arm, and after I saw your son lifting an aircrete block, I was like, I think I can do that. Then I thought about my stepson's Legos, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a lot of how they build over in, like, is it Germany?
Europe.
Oh, Europe.
They typically just make big blocks of it, and even though they're huge, they only weigh about 14 pounds. So a block that is 4 times the size of a normal cinder block will weigh about the same or less than because it's about, it'll weigh about the same as a normal cinder block.
So Brian Morris, we are glad to hear that it was a good positive direction change. So thank you for letting us know. Mark Wilson says, Darwin, there's a cat on your head. Mark, that's funny. Brian Morris says, I am now mentally designing an aircrete large Lego mold 30 so I can pour batches and glue together with dowels. Your family has inspired me. Many questions and thank yous to come. Awesome.
Oh, that's a good way to do it.
It is.
If you have a mold that you can put it in and it molds holes through it so dowels can go down through it strategically as the wall goes up. That really makes a lot of sense to me. If you look at Man About Tools up in Canada, he did some garden beds and he posts the ends that same way and puts a piece of rebar or a dowel through it to hold the ends together. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm glad there are other people out there thinking about this stuff and drawing it up and coming up with some ways to do some of this. The more people we get on board, the more awareness we get about aircrete, the faster it's going to be something that we can actually make mainstream in the United States.
Right? So Brian, send us an email to honeydewcarpenter1@gmail.com. Beaver Creek Farm Life did post our email link on there if you want to go double check it out or grab that. Frank C says aircrete helmets next. Malbur says hello from West Michigan. Take care and heal. Glad you are all okay. Recovering nicely from the appendix surgery last Saturday myself. Well, we will hope and pray that you heal quickly and fast from that surgery too, okay? Steven says magnesium supplement will help with concussion. Personal experience, unfortunately. Keep up the good work. You inspired me to start designing again. Oh, right. Steve, that's awesome. Thank you. And magnesium supplements.
That makes sense, because that's something that in certain amounts in your body, in the blood and whatnot, it would increase its ability to move electrical impulses, and that's how the brain works. So that does make sense.
Hi from a fan from Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. Wow.
Wow, New Guinea.
Hello. And hi back. That's awesome. Hi from, I don't know the name, so Gordon says, the answer to your question last week about supplies in Hawaii, there are a lot of supplies, but they're a little more expensive. Oh.
Yeah, it's like when I
Gotcha.
lived in Alaska. I lived up over the Mount McKinley mountain range in the interior near Fairbanks, and pretty much everything was just more expensive there. And I think it's really similar in Hawaii that way.
Okay, and Jeff says the missing step, the aircrete wedges in the stovepipe. Oh.
Oh. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because I went from using wooden wedges that after it sets up, you have to pull out and then patch in the little holes it leaves, to Mrs. Honeydew coming up with this brainy idea saying, cut up some aircrete blocks and use them for wedges. Then all you have to do is just either break them off after it sets up, or just saw off the, you know, she's so smart. I don't.
Gordon says the land on the east side of the big island is super cheap and the weather is fantastic. Oh my gosh. It's super cheap.
Do you just want to go live in Hawaii, right? Oh. No.
Aircrete Harry says no. I have not given up on aircrete. I'm just experimenting with other alternatives, DIY cement mixes that are much stronger than aircrete, called Epic. Anyone can make.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw your hammer test on that. I don't know if it was papercrete. I don't know what's in it, but and I don't know what the density of it is compared to aircrete. But I think there's applications for both. And I know he's building a aircrete shed, so, or shop, or a structure anyway, and so.
But thank you for explaining it, Harry.
Yeah.
And Brian says thanks for the advice. David Bennett says magnesium citrate. We need to get you some of that.
And also,
we'll stop at the store on the way home.
I look at Aircrete Harry's first videos, and he was like in his backyard or something up in New York. And he made a huge move to go to Colorado and get some shipping containers and try and set up a shop there. And you know what? I get it. That takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. There was time for months there where I didn't make a piece of Aircrete 1 because I was just simply trying to get my Aircrete lab set up so that I could start doing some more experimenting. And that's a big task.
Aircrete Harry says, like all cement, Aircrete has its place and you can't use it for everything. That's true.
Right.
You can't use it for everything.
Yep.
Right? Malbur says, thank you. Matthew says, I'm on magnesium chloride for joint pain. It helps. So we need to definitely get some magnesium. I am Hamid from Iran. I love so much your videos. I am civil engineer and I am trying to use more aircrete in my buildings.
Oh, wow.
I am pleasure to meet you. Well, that's really cool, Hamid.
It's a pleasure to meet you too. I think one of the very first videos after I started kind of taking off in the aircrete world, I was trying to get people just, you know, hey, if you have any luck with your foam mate or whatever, send me some content back. One of the very first videos I got was from the same region he was in. You remember that? And I was so excited that they sent me a video using the foam mate to make this aircrete over there in another country.
Right. Can you add shredded fiberglass to aircrete to increase tensile strength?
I would recommend just normal concrete additive fiberglass fibers. I don't know if shredding it yourself and if their chunks were too big, if it would actually be a plus or a minus in the strength of it. But just based on the thousands and thousands of compression tests that I've done when I was in that engineering world, crushing concrete blocks and watching the curve on an XY axis and understanding the difference between all the different aggregates and whether they were crushed or round rock or what they were and how they affect it. It seems like to me that if it wasn't just the fiber and it was a bunch of chunks and stuff, it might inhibit the strength of it. So that's...
But you are planning on doing some experimenting with different materials, correct?
I am, but I never considered, like, the only thing I considered grinding up or crushing up was maybe polystyrene, because I don't think it would affect it that much. But if you're taking, fiberglass and grinding it up, I don't know.
I do know that we did have a viewer who said that you don't want to put anything in the mix that is sharp that will pop all your bubbles. because those round spear give a lot of strength to the mixture.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you put something sharp in there, like fiberglass that has a lot of sharp edges, it could pop all the bubbles.
And here's a thing, guys. Perlite has a million sharp edges on every little piece if you've ever looked at it under a microscope. And if you put it in dry, it actually, the mix will sink and it will implode on itself. So you gotta wet that first and get a surface tension of wetness around those particles of air, of perlite. And then that was a big deal when I was making my open cell mix, was prepping the perlite before I put it in the mix, and then it worked good. So that's a good thing to consider.
All right, so Dwayne says, I made Formablock forms and poured my first garden bed test blocks. They came out very brittle. Any suggestions? Thanks, honeydews.
Make sure your water isn't acidic. Make sure anything that you're adding to the water isn't acidic, because if you slow down the flash off or the initial stiffening time too much, it never gains its full strength. You can go ahead, if you're concerned about the acidity of your water, and put a little bit of baking soda, a couple teaspoons or tablespoons in your bucket with the dry mix, and then when it gets in the water, it'll neutralize any acidic there. So that's where I would start. And then I would just start there and then see what happens. And then yeah, I don't know what else to say.
In the production of foam, have you tried experimenting foam production with hydrogen peroxide and yeast exothermic reaction? Saw this online, but yet to experiment with it.
I haven't. My inclination is the hydrogen peroxide would cause the surface tension of the bubble to be kind of weak, but on the other side, I look at what yeast does, and it causes surface tension that is, I think it would be a timing thing. It would be mixing it in your slurry and putting it in, and it would be kind of like autoclave, where they put two opposing metal powders in the mix, and then after it's all mixed up and slurred and they pour it in, a chemical reaction happens and it gases off internally, and then it rises like a cake, which is kind of how an autoclave aircrete works. So I think it would be fun to experiment with yeast.
Right, it would. So David says, don't get magnesium oxide, not absorbable. Kari, I think I said that. My foam generator gun is a work in progress still. Beaver Creek Farm Life says, congrats on 48,854 subscribers.
Wow, I know.
That is awesome, isn't it? You guys are amazing.
Our fans are doing some awesome stuff, sharing things and whatnot, because we ended up with 4.7 thousand new subscribers in the past 28 days. In the past 4 weeks, over 1,000 subscribers per week. And so we shot up from around 44,000 up, or 45,000 right in there, up to we're at like almost 49,000 this morning. And so I can't wait to get over 50. It's a big benchmark. And I really can't wait to get to 100.
Right.
Because it seems like everybody who gets to 100, it just kind of changes the game.
All right, Jeff Krupke says, I think like solar. Aircrete will be killed again by government and lobbyists.
Well, I can't think negative like that, because I just can't. It's not in me.
Yep. Croaking toad. That is an unusual name, just so you know. I think the real breakthrough for aircrete will be the discovery of a foaming agent that adds structural integrity and earthquake resistance. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't have that in any CMU product or any brick or mortar product at this point. Pretty much everything has its place. You can't even put a brick wall up without having something structural behind it. You can't just put bricks up, make a brick wall, and call it a structural building, because as soon as it shakes, the whole thing crumbles. And so, just like cinder blocks, that's why there's holes in there. We would run rebar down them and then fill those pockets with a mortar all the way up the wall. You just, people look at a cinder block or a brick wall just like the wall that's behind me. Or, yeah, well.
You can't see it.
You
That is
can't see
behind
it,
us.
but it is.
Do you want me to move the camera over there?
Just turn the tripod. Yeah. We just painted it because we're going to put our logo up, but that's a cinder block wall. And they think it's just a bunch of blocks mortared together, but it's not. It's structurally, there's rebar and mortar in the middle to hold the thing together. Otherwise, just the lightest shake and the thing would crumble. And so I think if we can make it strong enough, and then like that one gentleman was saying, where you could spike it together with dowels or whatever, to hold it together in the case of it shaking. Oh, I spilled my coffee. Yeah, that'll change the game big time. But it still has great uses right now because of its physical properties. There's nothing to prevent you from pouring it in the cavities of your wall and make your house, you know, when it's cool at night, it'll take on the coolness, and then you won't have to turn your AC on until, you know, not even in the hottest part of the day, because your walls stay cool. It's incredible what Aircrete does.
Lon Hensley says, what do you think about the tools that the Gibran Center has, like a mixer that injects foam in the bottom of your barrel as you're mixing? That's cool.
Yeah. I think that's cool. I like to have a more controlled atmosphere for the mixing of things. So I'm doing a double barrel articulating mixer where the paddles go into each other and they turn slowly and they fold the foam in slowly. And whenever I fold my foam in, I use an auger, so it's a real smooth upward pull when it pulls it up and around. Guys, even with Suave shampoo, and I know it's not a commercial foaming agent, if I fill my barrel up to this mark and I spin it in and fold it into the Aircrete, it's up to that mark. I don't get any drop and have to put more foam in to get back up to that mark. I just don't. I think I ought to do a video, just an instructional video on tips and tricks while you're mixing that make it way more efficient and way better. But when I say consistency, what I mean is I want to be able to put the exact amount of cement in there. The articulating blades have wipers, so they'll wipe, and every bit of that 92 pounds of cement will be in the slurry. And then when it folds in the foam, every bit of that foam will just slowly get folded in a real homogeneous, consistent manner. And then when the mix comes out, it's completely consistent. I was looking at some videos of different people trying to use the continuous mixing system where they put foam and it has this auger and it goes through, and I couldn't find one example of anybody that was making a mix that would come out that looked smooth. And I mean, you look at my videos and me pouring the wall panel, that is just smooth. It's just smooth, it's consistent all the way through everywhere, and I've just had a difficult time finding someone that could achieve that. Not that it isn't achievable. I'm doing a continuous mechanism, but it's just going to be different so that it achieves the consistency level that I want.
Mark Wilson says, ugh, I can't watch y'all's live feed. My service is horrible this week because of NASCAR. Thousands of people jamming up the signal. I'll catch you later. Darn NASCAR at the Glen.
Well, I'll tell you what, I wish I could say them dang NASCAR fans, but you know what? I like NASCAR. It's my brother and I would get together every Saturday and just watch it. It was something we loved to do. And yeah, them dang NASCAR fans.
Major says, I chucked a load of old fence panel bits of wood in one of my first efforts. Destroyed the cohesion of the block. Oh, that, yeah. If you, he put some old fence panel bits and wood in his first aircrete
Yeah,
batch, and it destroyed the cohesion of the block.
I'll bet it would.
Frank C. says, I was hit at 40 miles an hour from behind, and I did not wait for the pain. I went to a chiropractor the very next day. Pain and complications can come weeks or months later. Keep a record for insurance settlements.
Yeah,
We are noticing that.
That's what I found. I did the same thing. I went to my chiropractor the very next morning, and I woke up sore. I didn't think it hurt me at all. And then slowly, about an hour after I left, my sciatic started hurting, which never happens to me. Now I know what people complain about when their leg just goes out from under. But I went to the chiropractor, and when I'm getting adjusted, I never get dizzy, boy. I did this time, and it hurt. It was just not a fun adjustment. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you on that one. You got to get in front of it.
Yeah, and that is a good idea to keep track of what comes in the next couple weeks and stuff, so thank you. Stephen Mitchell says, I found vermiculite works better than polystyrene as
Polystyrene.
as an additive. Better bond to the vermiculite surface as versus styrofoam surface.
And that just makes sense to me. Yeah, I would probably, if you were to say, if I put this in or if I put this in, which would it bond to and be stronger, I would have picked the vermiculite every time.
David Bennett says, thumbs up, woohoo. Yeah, you guys give us some thumbs up. Gordon says, by the way, don't tell anybody how cheap the land is on the Big Island. We won't say a word, Gordon.
You won't say a word. It's just between you and me and about
300 people.
Yeah.
Julie Henderson says, can you blend rubber with aircrete to allow for flexibility?
Okay. No. However, I've been working with this young engineer that is doing 1/2-inch thick wall panels out of CSA cement. And he brought me a couple of bags. So I have this stuff at 28 days breaks at 10,000 pounds, okay? I mean, within 7 hours, it's already up to what it takes normal concrete to get to 28 days. Or within 24 hours, something like that. I mean, it's just an amazing cement, the CSA. And so I'm going to be doing some experiments with it using a super plasticizer as well as some different poly additives in it, and we'll see what I come up with. But I think there is potential in it. The only problem is with CSA cement, guys, is a bag of Portland cement costs about $11, $10 to $12, right in that range. A bag of CSA cement that isn't even 92 pounds, I think it's what, 88 pounds, but still similar. They do the poundage based on the cubic foot. So it's just a little bit lighter material, but it cures harder. But a bag of it costs $50. And so it's roughly 4.5 times greater cost than Portland cement. That being said, I think there's some great uses for it. Even with aircrete, we could make some furniture, some lawn furniture. I've been working on a spray-on coating, guys, out of the CSA cement so that I can take a regular Portland cement block and spray it and just have this wicked hard coating on it. I know Man About Tools did some aircrete garden panels, and I did some as well. And when you run a weed whacker up against them, it kind of scars it a little bit. That would totally eliminate the prospect of that, and so I'm really excited about that. And so even though I think there's a good combination of uses for CSA and regular Portland cement aircrete, where we can make it out of regular Portland cement aircrete, and then where you need a wear surface, like on a tabletop or a countertop or something, you can use this other to make a nice thin layer of hardness on it. And I'm real excited about it, if you can't tell.
Brian Morris says we're probably rediscovering ancient tech.
Oh, it is ancient. Aircrete's been around. They've been putting straw and lightweight stuff to make cement light for hundreds of years. But yeah, we are. It's not new.
Merv says, very interesting point about water pH. Yes, thank you. Shad says, glad to catch HTC live. Very cool. Also, Darwin, I can really tell you're slimming down. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, guys. If you look at some of my videos, like that one where I was doing the flex strength test on my wall panels, where I loaded it up with 500 pounds of cement bags, and I was first standing on it, I can't believe it held me. Because I was actually about 224 pounds at that time. And this morning I was 182 pounds.
Thank you for noticing.
So, thank you for noticing.
Frank says, earthquakes kill many people when concrete walls and roofs fall on people in many countries. Aircrete might be safer.
Yeah, it could be with the right engineering, that's for sure.
Yeah. Aircrete Harry says, no, I don't think so. But this is the one kind of testing that must be done. I will be dropping a telephone pole I have on an aircrete dome as one of my tests. Oh, wow. That's cool. I don't know what that means. Watkins Glen, Western Central Upstate, New York. Well, hello from David. WC says, good morning. Julie Henderson says, take x-rays. My brother-in-law found that he had a broken neck months after this car accident. He had emergency surgery. That's scary.
Oh, I kicked the tripod, dude. Sorry.
It's all right. All right, we have a couple more questions and then we're going to go. Jeff says, and get plenty of rest. I've been fighting a similar injury for a year. Research a float tank. It did wonders for me. Maybe design an aircrete float tank aid in your recovery. Thank you, Jeff. And I have had to fight him. He tried to get up and come out to work yesterday, and I had to put my foot down. He was a little grumpy, but it worked out. He needs his rest.
I actually was glad that she did, and once I felt fine when I first woke up, and then I said, fine, I'll go down and do some drawing, and I went down, and after about 30-40 minutes of drawing, I realized that I was not as okay as I thought I was. And so I went upstairs and I took a nap. I felt a lot better after that.
KGS says, I had a tree fall onto my car as I was driving. Oh, wow, that's scary.
Wow,
Brian,
how lucky are you? How many people in the world can say that?
Right?
About 1,000th of a percent of people.
Right, Brian Morris says exactly. Jay Thomas says, have you thought about building with aircrete using block shapes like a honeycomb?
I have, because that's one of the strongest natural things, and bees are probably smarter than we are. And I have thought a lot about that, and you're gonna like that, because this form I was drawing yesterday when I talked about drawing has one that's a similar shape to that in it.
All right, one more question from Dwayne. Says, if you put recipes for coding on Etsy, I will definitely purchase it. The more step-by-step instructions, the better.
Okay.
Looking good, Darwin.
Yeah, I can't wait to get the coding recipe out, as well as the open cell mix recipe out. Obviously, my wall panel mix is a closed cell. If it's a syrupy or thick liquid like a water glass, it just doesn't take it in that well, but obviously this one will. And so I'm really happy to get those out. The coating really interests me. I'm hoping I can get it to take some heat. Because all I've been doing now for the inside of my forge is just wetting it, just brushing water glass on, and then just powdering it with Portland cement. And I'm hoping CSA cement will be a little bit better. But I've always said Aircrete isn't the best wear service. You can take one of my best Aircrete blocks and you can take a screwdriver on it and scratch it. And it, you know, so for the inside of a stove where you're putting wood in and out, I'm doing obviously the alumina cement tiles, and you got to have that as a wear surface so you can have tons of years of use. But we're over an hour, babe.
We are, but this person had a great idea. So here's a sport. Maybe you could do both a honeydew doctor bit, people posting videos to you with what's ailing their Aircrete problems.
Oh,
Isn't that a
that is
wonderful
a
idea? So
killer idea.
So yes, I had to read that one from
That's
Major.
a perfect forum title. And we had a gentleman reach out to us, and this guy is amazing. He's been in the IT industry over 40 years, and you know, I put a website, and I have absolutely no IT experience, but this guy is amazing, and he helped us set up a forum system, and I'm still getting the bugs worked out, but I can tell you guys unequivocally that the Insiders Club is coming, and
Yep.
it's not too far off. So
All right, you guys have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you later.
did you get it stopped?
No, I hit a wrong button.
Oh.
My phone's like frozen.